Hi, everyone. Trinea, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you, Whitney.
Okay, wonderful. Well, welcome, everyone. I'm going to get us started. Welcome to today's webinar. I am the Director of Government Relations for the Amputee Coalition. Again, my name is Whitney Doyle. I use they pronouns. You're looking at me wearing my brown hair, medium length, the top full back with white glasses, and behind me is a virtual background screen about our April Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month. So I'm going to be kicking off today's webinar, Breaking into Workforce Development. We're so excited to have you all here today. Just a few housekeeping things, and I apologize, I'm at the airport, so I might be a little bit hard to hear. But just so you know, when you roll over the screen, since we have a screen share, there is a menu bar on the bottom, and depending on where you are, that might be on the top or the bottom of the screen. You can find closed captions there today. It's going to be in the more section, so you can turn those transcripts on. Also, you can adjust your view in the top right-hand corner. If you're in the side-by-side gallery view, you can actually toggle that line in the screen to make the presenter's screen bigger or smaller. If you would like to ask any questions, we're going to ask that you put those in the Q&A box. If you put things in the chat, Trinea and I will be monitoring the chat, but you might not see them all there. So please use the Q&A feature for your questions. If you have any technical issues or would like to turn the chat off, you can turn the chat off by pressing Alt-H. When we do get to the Q&A, if we would like to call on people or you want to speak instead of write your questions there, you can do that by raising your hand, which you can either find that in the menu bar under reactions, or you can press Alt-Y or *9 if you're joining us by the phone. And then we'll let you know when we want you to mute and unmute to share your comments. As we go along here, if you have any other questions, just write us in the chat. Any accessibility needs, just let us know. When you do come unmuted, try to keep your background down as much as possible. Okay, so today's webinar is the third of 4 advocacy webinars we're hosting in the month of April. As you all know, it's Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month. We have one more webinar left after today, which is next week on April 6th at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's Finding Your Voice, Career Pathways Workshop. You can also find a recording of the last 2 advocacy webinars on the Amputee Coalition's YouTube channel. So with that, I'm excited to introduce to you our presenter, Trinea Reed. So Trinea, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Whitney. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Today, we are going to be talking about our Amputee Coalition Workforce Development Program, Breaking into Workforce Development. As Whitney mentioned, my name is Trinea Reed, and I oversee our Workforce Development Program, and I am the Workforce Development Manager here at the Amputee Coalition. So I am going to see how to go and scroll to the next page. Perfect. So what is our workforce development program? So the Amputee Coalition's Workforce Development Program is designed to assist participants within the limb loss and limb difference community, along with people interested or within the public health workforce, with transitioning back into the workforce or starting their journey into the workforce. So these are participants, they could be veterans, as well as adults. And we will also go through later our YEP Workforce Development Program for our youth. So we'll go more into detail on that. But essentially, adults, veterans, and youth ages 15 to 17 would be eligible for our Workforce Development Program. Our Workforce Development Program includes programs and services such as assistance with resume and cover letter writing, workshops and webinars on job-related topics, mock interview assistance, and resources for employers on how to diversify their workplace. So participants eligible for the program. So as I mentioned previously, so adults experiencing limb loss and limb difference of all ages, including veterans and individuals who are interested in starting or returning to the public health workforce. So within our workforce development program, we also know the vital component of including public health within our program and making our participants, those with limb loss and limb difference, advocates and voices when it comes to public health, specifically within the workforce. Participants are also eligible, those who are searching for a job or working for the first time. So you might be a participant that, starting out into your career journey, and this is your first job, or you could be a participant that has been in the workforce for 10 to 15 plus years, and you're looking to return back into the workforce. You would be eligible for the program in either scenario. We would be here to help you find a job for the first time or starting back into your career journey. Let's see. So as I mentioned, those have been in the workforce for many years and needing assistance with finding a career that accommodates their needs. So this is an important one as well. Within the workforce development program, we also assist with finding a job that's suitable for you long-term. So a job that's going to accommodate your needs, ADA needs, teaching you how to talk to an employer once you do start your job. These are all services that we provide. So we have some prerequisites for our workforce development program. The reason why we have this in place is because we want you to be prepared when you're having these conversations with employers or when you're going into applying for jobs, knowing the process and being prepared to make your transition into employment smoother. So part of this process includes scheduling a 15-minute virtual appointment with me to discuss your employment goals. So we'll go over a little bit later how to schedule that appointment with me virtually. In addition, attending all 7 required training sessions within the following topic areas: career exploration one-on-one, how to build a strong resume, mock interviewing one-on-one, how to utilize the job search engine job board to apply for job positions, how to create a LinkedIn profile, best dress and how to present yourself within an interview, and how to follow up with an employer after an interview, creating and uploading a professional resume to your profile, creating a LinkedIn profile, setting up a job profile account on our Amputee Coalition job board, uploading a professional photo onto your profile, and completing and returning the workforce training session and resume completion form to our workforce email. Again, I will go over where to find the training sessions, as well as how to register, as well as how to schedule a 15-minute appointment with me virtually, and where to locate the training session and resume completion form. So as mentioned previously, we also have a youth workforce development program that's called our YEP Workforce Development Program. And it's designed to assist those who are 15 to 17 with limb loss and limb difference with career and professional development training to start their journey into the workforce. I'm super excited about this program because this program is going to allow those who are in high school to be able to have the internship and summer job opportunities even before they're leaving high school. So once they graduate high school, they're going to be prepared and have work experience under their belt before even leaving school. So this is a super exciting program for our youth with limb loss and limb difference. So career development resources and programs under YEP include assistance with building a resume, support with developing a professional career profile, mock interview assistance, training and webinars on career and professional development on job-related topics, and our YEP workforce dashboard with internship and summer job opportunities. So for our YEP workforce development program, we also have a webpage specifically for the workforce development program for YEP. So if interested, you could go onto our Amputee Coalition's website, click the YEP webpage, and then to the left, there'll be a tab where it says workforce development. And under that tab, we'll have all of the resources under the YEP workforce development program. So some resources that we have under our workforce development program. First, we have our workforce development program webpage that I'm happy to announce that launch this Monday. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely I encourage to do so. It has a bunch of resources on there that we will go over in a few. We have resource articles on workforce development. We have fact sheets related to workforce development, as well as webinars and trainings. And most recent that we also launched on Monday is our job board platform. So our workforce development webpage. So if you see to the right, this is what our workforce development webpage will look like when you click on our webpage to join. So on the top, you'll see an overview of the workforce development program. And as you can see on the right, there's a couple of bullet points on different resources and links to go to different web-based forms. So first, to be part of our workforce development program, you would hit the first tab where it says register for the workforce development program. That's for us to know that you're interested in the program, as well as getting basic information and your phone number. That way we're able to keep in touch with you throughout the process. You'll also see a workforce development program checklist when you click on the second tab. That checklist is for you as you're going along in the process to know the different components that you completed. To say, okay, I completed registering for workforce. I completed having a meeting with Trinea. I completed having my 7 training sessions. So this is for you to have kind of as a checklist as you're going along in the process. Third, you'll see a review of the training and resume completion form. This is for you to have kind of as a way to look to see the different training sessions that we have, as well as how to set up a meeting with me, our 15-minute meeting, as well as the different components that are required within the workforce development program. The fourth bullet point you'll see is submitting the completed training form. So that form will be completed once you have your meeting with me, once you register for the workforce development program and you complete your 7 required training sessions. Then you would go ahead and complete that online form, and then it would go to me. And the exciting thing, finally, the final bullet point is being able to access the job board. So that step happens after the completed training form is completed and returned back to me, as well as your completion of training sessions and as well as meeting with me one-on-one for our 15-minute meeting. I know that was a lot of information, so at the end, we'll definitely have time for Q&A, as Whitney mentioned, so I could definitely answer any questions at that time that you might have. So as I mentioned previously, so we have different resources on workforce development. One of those resources is our Thrive blog. Highly recommend to check out our Thrive blog if you haven't. Just in general, we have a lot of good content on there and different topics, so definitely check it out. But we do have a tab strictly for workforce development. So any webinars that we might have coming up, any events, sometimes we have participants within our community writing blogs about their work experience or their experience within our workforce program. So definitely check it out when you have some time. We also have a series of fact sheets related to workforce development and our workforce development program. So one that I highly recommend is our employment fact sheet. So these are resources on programs and organizations available to assist people with disabilities, including veterans in job training, resume writing, employment searches, and volunteer opportunities. So this is a good resource to look at if you're wanting to know about how to ask for accommodations, or what type of accommodations that will be needed once you start your job, as well as different employers and disability organizations throughout the US that assists those with disabilities with employment. Secondly, we have our hiring practices for individuals with disabilities and those with diverse backgrounds. So essentially, these are for our employers that is looking to diversify their workplace and hire our participants with limb loss and limb difference. So this is resources on private, nonprofit, and government resources and programs to assist organizations in diversifying the workplace and hiring those with disabilities. Our third fact sheet that we have is COVID-19 and returning back to work. So this is resources for private, nonprofit, and government programs to assist organizations and employees with returning to work after the COVID-19 pandemic. So this fact sheet is very beneficial in that because when we were in COVID-19 pandemic, the shift of employment in the workforce has changed. Particularly the needs have changed. So there might have been participants that might have been working in an office setting for a certain amount of time, and that setting was comfortable for them. And then once the pandemic hit, they might have had to transition to a hybrid schedule or transition to working strictly from home. So this resource here, this fact sheet here that we have on returning back to work is very useful because it provides a lot of different resources on how to be able to transition back to the workforce after the pandemic successfully. Our next fact sheet that we have, which is also a very vital fact sheet, is our resume and cover letter fact sheet. I always recommend this to our participants because building a resume and a cover letter is the first step to being able to apply for jobs. So being able to have a strong resume and cover letter is going to be important. And this fact sheet here provides all of the resources that you need to be able to build a strong resume and guidance and information on how to include a resume and cover letter, as well as also having information. Let's say you're interested in a certain job field. There's a link there that you could go to that will show the content that's important to add within a resume, let's say for customer service or for engineering. This resource will provide that information for you. Our next fact sheet that we have is Community Health Workers Fact Sheet. So this provides information for community health workers and their patients regarding resources for COVID-19 tests, mental health and self-care, increasing health access, and reducing health inequities and diabetes. Our next fact sheet that we have is an overview of vocational rehabilitation and youth pre-employment transition services program. And we will go on later into detail about what vocational rehabilitation is and the pre-ETS program. If you haven't heard of it, highly recommend the program. We'll go more into detail on it, but it's a very, very good program to know about. We have a fact sheet for Voc Rehab, and it provides an overview of the services and resources that vocational rehabilitation provides, along with resources and services for the Youth and Pre-Employment Transitional Services Program. As I mentioned earlier, we also have a series of different webinars relating to different job-related topics for employment for those with disabilities and those within the public health workforce. So one webinar that I enjoy sharing is our webinar that we had last year in October 2022. And this is self-employment within the agricultural industry. So if you're interested in farming and ranching, and you're looking to either get into farming and ranching or getting back into it, highly recommend this webinar. We have a partnership with an organization called Agribility, which is an organization that assists those with disabilities wanting to get into farming and ranching. So if you're wanting to know how to get started, definitely take a look at this webinar. And if you have any further questions, you could definitely reach out to me and I could guide you in the right direction. So as I mentioned before, we just launched our new job board platform. So very exciting news. So this is where our employers and organizations could post job leads and internships for our adults and veterans with limb loss and limb difference. So as I mentioned prior, we have two different platforms. So we have our regular job board platform for our adults and veterans, and then we have our career dashboard for our youth engagement program, workforce development program. So essentially, our career dashboard for the youth, that's more tailored towards internships and summer employment for our youth participants ages 15 to 17. This job board platform here for our adults is geared for internships, apprenticeships, part-time, full-time jobs. So you'll see an array of different opportunities there on our platform. The great thing about our job board platform is that our internships and opportunities that we have on there is from employers and organizations that collaborate with our workforce development program. So these are employers and organizations that know that we have qualified candidates and want to be able to diversify their company or their workplace and diversify and work in increasing their DEI efforts. So these are employers that know that they could come to our job board platform and that they're going to be able to find qualified participants that are interested in their job leads. So now we'll go into an overview of vocational rehabilitation. So vocational rehabilitation provides services for individuals with disabilities to prepare for and engage in competitive integrative employment or supported employment and achieve economic self-sufficiency. And to be eligible for vocational rehabilitation, individuals must have a physical or mental impairment that results in a substantial impediment to employment and could benefit from vocational rehabilitation services to achieve long-term employment. So I know that bullet point, it was a lot of words in there, but essentially what it's saying is to be eligible for vocational rehabilitation, you have to have a documented disability. And to prove that you have a documented disability, you could go to a physician that you see or any other doctor that you see, and they would be able to provide a letter for you or be able to provide any medical documentation that you could take to your local vocational rehabilitation office to be eligible and to sign up for the program. Also, there's a link to an overview of vocational rehabilitation services. So we just had a webinar last week for our Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month, where we had vocational rehabilitation services from Alexandria, Virginia, talk about the different services that they have within their city and within this state of Virginia, as well as an overview of the services and resources that vocational rehabilitation provides in all states throughout the US. So if you haven't checked out this webinar, I highly recommend. They also talk about the pre-employment transition services for youth as well, and then provide just an overview of all the services that they provide, and also their contact information is on there as well. If you wanted to reach out to them for any further questions or how to sign up for their services. So how to apply. So applicants could apply for vocational rehabilitation services through their local vocational rehabilitation office. So each state has a vocational rehabilitation office, and specifically within your location, there should be a local vocational rehabilitation office. So in every state, in every major locale, you should be able to locate a vocational rehabilitation office near you. There's a link here to locate your office, vocational rehabilitation office. So if you type in your zip code, it will show the nearest office near you within a 10 to 20 mile radius, as well as the address, and phone number and email to follow up if you had any questions on or how to apply for vocational rehabilitation services. As mentioned previously, documents to be eligible for the program include having a medical documentation to show proof of a physical, mental, or mental disability. And this could be through getting a documentation, a one-page letter from your physician, or having your physician provide you a copy with medical documentation to provide to a vocational rehabilitation counselor. So as mentioned previously, there's also vocational rehabilitation services for youth. And this is called the pre-employment transitional services, pre-ETS for short. And is a service offered under vocational rehabilitation that offers students with disabilities with career exploration and transition to the adult life. The program assists with the following: exploring careers, developing work skills, specifically through the on-the-job training program. So the on-the-job training program that the pre-ETS program has is very cool because it allows high school students starting at age 14 to go into on-the-job training programs that might be of interest to them. And normally those programs can last from 3 to 12 weeks. And after they're done with that on-the-job training, they could go into another on-the-job training program and repeat different on-the-job training programs until they graduate. So kind of as we mentioned before, this is giving, students and high school students specifically training and work experience before they're leaving high school and before they're graduating high school. So this is a very great opportunity that they have for youth. They also have programs for developing social and self-advocacy skills. So socializing with their peers, how to be self-advocates within the workplace, or to how to advocate for their needs to an employer. So these are very vital skills that the program provides. And as I mentioned, each state has this program, and services start as early as the age of 14. So kind of the same process as far as applying for regular vocational rehabilitation services. The same process applies for pre-employment transitional services. So you could contact your local vocational rehabilitation office, and then they could connect you with the application process for applying for the pre-employment transitional services. So again, going to the link, typing in your zip code, and finding the nearest office near you. And then once you do, you'll see the address and the phone number to contact that local vocational rehabilitation office. So upcoming events for Workforce Development Program, this is very exciting. We have our Amputee Coalition National Conference. This is going to be from August 2nd through the 5th in Orlando, Florida, at the Renaissance Hotel by SeaWorld. At our national conference, we're going to have 10 to 15 training sessions related to career path engagement. So these will be career sessions related from different employers and organizations coming in to talk about their organization, as well as DEI efforts, hiring practices for those with disabilities. We'll also have panel discussions and deep dive sessions. So super exciting sessions. So if you're able to make it, definitely try to make our national conference and be able to attend our workforce sessions that we will have there. Another thing that we're going to have here at our national conference for the first time is our job and resource fair. So we're going to have employers and organizations and different nonprofits being represented at national conference at our job resource fair for you to talk to and to learn about the different job openings that that employer might have, as well as different resources on vocational rehab, just anything in general related to employment. Specifically those with disabilities will be at the resource fair as well as you being able to speak to employers and having those one-on-one conversations, and maybe it even leading to job opportunities or job offers later on. So definitely check out our career development track if you're planning to attend our national conference in August. Also for our youth camp, we'll also be having workforce development programming. So there'll be a presentation from me on our workforce development program and the navigation of our workforce development program dashboard for internships and summer jobs for our youth participants. We'll also have career development sessions on different topics, as well as having a presentation from an organization called Flint Public Health Youth Academy. Flint Public Health Youth Academy, they're based out of Flint, Michigan, and part of their mission is to educate and provide resources for youth who are interested in going into the public health field. So very interesting organization. They'll be presenting and speaking at the YEP Youth Camp in August. And then at this time, I will leave it up for questions. So as Whitney mentioned, you can post your question in the Q&A box, and we will be happy to answer any questions you have. Here is my contact information. If you think of a question later on and you want to know more information about our workforce development program, or maybe information about your career journey, or having, some insight on how to navigate your current career journey or how to start your career, definitely reach out to me. My contact information is right there. My email, as well as our phone number.
This is Whitney. Does anyone have any questions? I don't see any in the chat or in the Q&A, so we'll give it a few moments so everyone can type if they're trying to type. Okay, I don't see anyone, any messages coming through. Oh, actually, we have one in the Q&A. Okay, Trinea from Michelle. She says, I'm not ready for support yet to start a new career/job. How should I get involved? How soon should I get involved with this program?
That's a great question, Michelle. So essentially, as I mentioned before about vocational rehabilitation, I would definitely reach out to them, your local vocational rehabilitation office in your state and your city, because they also provide resources to help you if you're not ready to maybe start your employment journey, but they'll provide resources to help you when you are ready to start your employment journey. So that could be, linking you with a job coach. That could be having you do volunteering or a training session. I know we mentioned on-the-job training for the youth participants, but they also have on-the-job training for adults as well. So that's kind of a good step if you're wanting to transition back into employment or start your journey into employment. Being able to do different trainings or volunteer opportunities to find your niche or to find a job field that might work best for you. So that will be definitely a good resource, as well as if getting connected to vocational rehab. Vocational rehab also provides what's called a vocational evaluation. So essentially within that vocational evaluation, it's a whole report where you'll be paired with the evaluator that will go over with you things that you're good at, things that might be challenging, things that might be of interest to you. And after that process, they will provide you and your vocational rehabilitation counselor with the report different recommended job fields that might be best for you when you are ready to start your employment journey. So highly recommend to get connected with your local vocational rehabilitation office. And if you have any questions on how to get started with that process, definitely let me know and I can help walk you through that process.
Thank you, Michelle and Trinea. Are there any other questions? If you do want to ask your question orally instead of typing it, you are welcome to do the raise your hand feature, which is under the For option in the menu bar, and we can unmute you that way. Okay, hearing and seeing none. Again, this is Whitney. I want to thank you all for being with us, and thank you, Trinea, for all this information about being in the workforce. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us and for all of you being here to learn more about advocacy. We hope to see you all at our next advocacy webinar, which is next Wednesday, April 26th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time for Finding Your Voice Career Pathways Workshop. Oh, it looks like we have a raised hand. Trinea, are you able to unmute Josephine?
Sure. Let's see here. Okay, perfect. Okay, Josephine, you should be able to chat.
Okay, thank you. By the way, awesome presentation. So thank you so much. Plethora of information. I'm just like soaking it all in. So my question is, I just completed the registration. Are we able to view any webinars now or any trainings? Is that available now?
That is a great question, Josephine. So in May will be the start of our webinar and training sessions. So this month is mostly just webinars on the overview of our workforce development program, as far as like our adult and our workforce development program. But starting at the beginning of May, you should start to see information about our webinars that we have upcoming. So those webinars will be career exploration, resume writing, mock interviewing. So you will definitely see within the next couple weeks more information on those webinars. So definitely keep an eye out because those webinars will be posting for registration for you to register for those webinars within the next couple weeks or so. I would say within the next 2 weeks or so, you should start seeing information on those webinars.
Okay, great. I'm excited. I'm ready. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, one other question. So the slide that's showing now, you mentioned the rehabilitation vocational. Is that also DVR?
Correct. So that is DVR. Some states call it Division of Vocational Rehab. Like the presentation that we had last week, they call it the Division of Rehabilitation Services. So states call it, sometimes have a different name for it, but essentially overall, each of those are vocational rehab.
Okay. And that now leads me to another question. So I've already started the process with DVR. Would I still be able to partake of the services for at Amputee Coalition?
Absolutely. That is a great question. Yes. So I highly recommend, to participants that I speak to, to still continue on with that process with vocational rehab, as well as going through our process as well. Because vocational rehab, they might help with placement services, but they also help with outside services that you might need once you start the job. So for example, once you start a job, you might think or say that I might need a specialized chair or specialized desks or a specialized computer. That's something that vocational rehabilitation will be able to assist with. So it's great to be able to be connected with them as well as us, because once you're placed with a job and we're able to help you to find a job and you receive that job lead and that job offer and you're ready to start the job, then you could go to your vocational rehabilitation counselor and say, hey, you know, I think that having a specialized chair is going to help me to be successful at my job long term. So vocational rehabilitation provides those services that you might need once you start employment.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. That's everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that question. Are there any other questions? Okay, wonderful. Well, again, thank you all for joining us. If you'd like to watch any of the advocacy webinars, previously we've done Advocacy 101, as well as Power of Your Personal Narrative. Those can all be found on the Amputee Coalition's YouTube channel. If you want to contact Coalition, our email is info@amputee-coalition.org. You can call us at 1-888-267-5669. And of course, Trinea's has her information on that previous slide. Trinea, if you want to pull that up so we have that as we're all leaving you. Okay, great. Well, awesome. Well, again, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Trinea. It was a great presentation and we look forward to seeing you all next Wednesday.
Thank you, Whitney, and thank you everyone for joining today. Again, as Whitney mentioned, if you have any follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.